Hello.
Welcome.
Hi
Hello,
guys.
everybody. Do you want to start?
Okay. Welcome to the Prosperity Project, guys.
This is our podcast about student mental health. My name is Braden Turner. I'm a sophomore at Lewis Palmer High School.
I'm Harry Harcrow, and I'm also a sophomore.
And I'm Lily Petit, and I'm also a sophomore.
And we also have a couple other sophomores that are part of this that are not here with us today. But yeah, this is our first podcast. We'll see how it goes. It might not be the smoothest, but we're just trying to get things worked out and get this ball rolling. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we might be leaving you guys in the dust a little bit about what Prosperity Project is all about. And I think the whole idea of it is, in Colorado especially, suicide rates among teenagers is so bad, and especially over the last 5 years. And we just want to make a podcast that talks about student mental health, especially within D38, because this is the people we know best, and hopefully eventually make a difference through some implementation on the district level. That's the biggest goal, I think. We all agree here, maybe?
Yeah, and to just provide an understanding of what mental health actually is, and coping strategies and stories, and we just want to be an outlet for you guys, and just a service that the school can provide for you guys, just regarding mental health, since it's such a big up and going topic, especially nowadays. And I'm so glad that we're addressing it now because of just rise of attention towards it. So
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a thing that's not talked about as much, and especially within school systems, as lots of people probably know. And so we're kind of just making this known and trying to make this a normal thing among different schools here in Colorado and probably within the nation.
So yeah, kind of back to what I was saying. I think one of the first things I actually wanted to go into was Colorado's suicide rate among teenagers. Colorado has one of the worst suicide rates in the nation, and it's increased pretty dramatically. In 2015, it was 90 kids between the ages of 10 and 19 died from suicide, and it was 63 the year before. And it's risen to about 100 steadily over the past 5 or so years. That just goes to show that's obviously making a dramatic increase in just such few years, which is crazy. And a lot of people don't really know the reason for this. There's experts out there that don't really know the exact reason. Obviously, it's such a wide problem. People can't put a specific pin on it because students struggle so much.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Braden. I agree with Braden on that one. It is kind of a hard thing to address, especially as adults. Sometimes they don't feel they know how to connect with teens who are going through stuff like that. So I think it's good that we have this outlet, like Lily said, about through teens talking to other teens.
Mm-hmm. Especially when we're probably the ones who know each other best, just within our peer group, as it's sometimes, it's hard for, I guess, different generations to understand what other generations are going through, especially as life and kind of society evolves, and just the differences between how each of us grew up. So just the fact that we're addressing mental health so in such a abundant way, I guess, is really remarkable, and I think it's definitely going to make a difference as if we were to continue addressing it and talking about it, and just honestly communicating amongst each other about mental health, or just problems, or just yeah.
So I was doing a project recently. It was one in English, and I found out that, like I was saying before, a lot of they couldn't put couldn't hit the hammer on the head with what exactly, or the needle on the head. What am I saying? With what exactly problem was, but they found a common characteristic in a lot of the cases, and it was that the kids felt isolated and had or felt a lack of community, lacked a community
Yeah.
to go to, which kind of makes sense because I mean that's pretty broad. I feel like that can be applied to a lot of things, but I think by figuring that out, it allowed them to realize that at least this broad kind of comparison they could make between a lot of the cases would allow them to implement changes. And they've started to do that, actually. They've started forming communities and whatnot for mental health. But I remember reading an article from the Gazette, and this 16-year-old, she said the best thing parents can do is just listen to students and actually try to comprehend what they're saying. Because I feel like a lot of parents just sit there and they want to know what their child is going through, but they don't really know how to or what's going on. I think the biggest thing is understand what we're going through, understand what may be causing a problem, if we're communicating that, and how we can receive help to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, I mean, this is funny. This is immediately what I thought of when you said, just address the problem. It's something Mr. Trope always says. I mean, but I'm in entrepreneurship, and we talk a lot about the design step process, and the first thing to even jumpstart a business or do anything is address the problem and actually understand what the problem is. And I feel like that applies to a lot of situations, especially as Braden was just talking about with parents understanding their child. First, in order to have communication, you have to understand what's going on first, and I think that would really increase the effectiveness and the productivity of the communication if we were to just kind of sit down and talk, or parents were to sit down and talk to their children and let them kind of just verbally say and state how they've been feeling and what has made them feel this way without any, I guess, interruption, and then talking about that afterwards. So
Yeah, it's definitely something like Braden was saying about how the number one problem with mental health is that people feel like they're alone in it. And while we might not always know what you're going through here on the podcast, we definitely have people in this room that have gone through mental health disorders and stuff like that. And while we might not know exactly what you're going through, someone out there does. Whether it's a friend or a teacher or even a parent, someone out there knows what you're going through. And if you see a friend going through something like that, it can be really difficult to address it and try and talk to them about it. So we'd like to discuss some ways that you can actually talk about mental health to others.
I think one of the first things I wanted to address, school-wise, was this thing I remember hearing a while back, and it was with Illinois, the state of Illinois, that is, and I found out that there was a bill or law or something that was passed and implemented that would allow students to have 5 mental health days, from school.
that's cool.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really cool concept. But I'm I don't know. I'm curious because I would love to see that implemented into other states soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only concerns revolving around that is kids would just use that as an excuse to miss a test or something.
Yeah.
But I think generally we all have those days where we're I don't feel right. I feel off. I'm not in a good mood. There's something bothering me. I'm upset. And by going to school and kind of just letting it sit there in the back of our mind, it doesn't go away and it carries into the rest of the week. And I think just having a day to just kind of put that aside and focus on yourself, focus on what's wrong, and relax isn't the worst idea. And I thought in our specific community, what I thought was really, really cool was actually Thomas Fry, who's a senior at Palmer Ridge High School, recently implemented, I think it was called Bear Time, and it was 25 minutes
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, they implemented like 25 minutes of like every day, or maybe every other day. I can't remember exactly. Of just time of like social interaction and like.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to like the community thing of like maybe groups start to form there, and like you kind of like there's a bigger picture there of like, oh, this is like, I'm a part of this community that's focusing on like mental health, and I can like sit back and just focus on how I'm doing and how my peers are doing during this time. And I think they implemented that through like shortening passing periods a little bit maybe, and shortening classes a little bit. I think it said they shortened class by like 5 minutes each. I thought it was amazing that Thomas Fry had the ability to do this, because I know Thomas Fry struggled from an anxiety disorder, which he didn't talk about for a long time. And I've heard him talk about it before. It was pretty inspirational. And I mean, you were there, you remember.
Yeah.
And I think just his ability to kind of share his experiences and make an impact on Palmer Ridge High Schools. And I'd love to see, or maybe we could implement something like LP soon.
We in my old school in New Hampshire, we had that. It was called advisory, and we would have it every day, and it'd be with the same group for all 4 years. So you would be with the same, I guess, 12 kids and a teacher, and it was really nice because we had a young teacher, and he was pretty chill, and it was really nice to get to know people off the bat, and then also talk about some hard things, because he was very, like, he's the counselor, so he advocated for mental health throughout the year, and we did a lot of activities to get to know each other, both on, like, just, like, friend scale, but also, like, classmate scale, and then also, like, kind of deeper understanding of, like, what we were going through. And by the end of the year, even, we all felt super close with each other, and, like, felt like we could talk to each other about anything, and also establish a relationship with the teacher that we were with. And I think all of my friends there could agree with me in saying that, like, he made it, like, such a comfortable place, and, like, those times were super special as we got to connect with other students on more of a personal level, which is something we don't normally get to do in school. I think some of the clubs that we have here, though, like, really do that really well. Like, what am I thinking? Sources of Strength. They do an awesome job on just, like, addressing the different sources of strength that we have and the different outlets that we can go do. So I think, honestly, that'd be so cool to see, like, a bear time or whatever it's called at LP. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, Lily's right that, the first step is talking about it and finding people that you can talk with. And that's actually one of the difficult parts is how do you address it? How do you address bad mental health? How do you address good mental health? Because everyone's different. So that's what I'd like to talk about now is how do you talk about it?
Yeah.
So I found some tips online from mentalhealth.org.
Wow.
So, an organization, yes.
Wow.
So what you want to do first is set a time when you find someone that you can talk to about. Is set a time with no distractions, an open time where you can really focus on what you want to talk about. And then as a person who is listening, because once they come to you, it's more about them, right, and what they need. And so you want just to let them share as much or as little as they want to. Don't pressure them into saying anything more. And don't try to diagnose or second guess their feelings. Just be supportive, talking to people know how to do that. And any questions that you have, try to keep them open-ended, right? Try to keep them, why don't you tell me how you are feeling, instead of, I can see that you're feeling very sad lately. You want to make them feel appreciated, that you see them, that you're listening. And yeah. And then next is talk about self-care, tip number 5. So you can talk about ways about de-stressing or practicing self-care, and ask them if they find anything helpful. Exercising, having a healthy diet, getting a good night's sleep can protect mental well health and sustain well-being, as well as Uh,
Wait, did it say sleep as much as?
yeah, sleep is definitely an important thing.
Definitely, yeah.
Brandon, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. There's this thing I've talked about, or not I've talked about, but I've heard for a while. And it's like a triangle, and it's like, kind of like your needs.
Oh, we talked about this in house.
What is it?
Isn't it? Or like, isn't it called like the health triangle?
No.
Like, there's like
No.
4 things. No.
No.
Oh, okay, then maybe I'm thinking of a different thing. Because there's like emotional,
Hierarchy
physical.
of needs. It's something like that.
Okay.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
Then
I
did
found
not talk about
this really interesting. I've talked about this with my family a lot of times, and we bring it up a lot. And the bottom is psychological needs or physiological. Sorry, excuse me. And you can imagine, that's like basic needs to survive. Air, food, or air, food, water, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. And I think every time you kind of just like tend to take away. Oh. I mean, you need that. I mean, do you need that? I mean, maybe
We could always edit stuff.
That's funny. I think they'll find that funny.
I think they will too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if
I just
people
making
need. I mean, that's how we're here today, guys. Believe it or not, that's how. That kind of went over my head. I read it. I was like, oh, whatever.
I looked at it a second time and I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, yes,
but yeah, I think like getting back to the point, just making sure you meet all of those criteria over and over and over again is so necessary just to meet the above topics that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I think missing out on sleep, missing out on food, missing out on not reproduction.
Like shelter.
Yeah,
and
water.
water.
Water. I mean, I think it kind of narrows down to like sleep and like eating and whatnot. But just missing out on those. I know school is very stressful for all of us. We're all feel like we want to perform to a certain degree, and we want to make sure we make our parents proud and whatnot. But you have to make sure you understand that those physiological needs are what's most important. You need to meet those first. You need to meet a certain amount of sleep every night. You need to prioritize your sleep and water and food before you get your math work done. And a lot of our teachers here are, I think, more understanding than we think. A lot of them, if we talk to them, because I know I can name off 5 teachers. Right now, I won't name them, but I have in my head that would understand and realize. And I think as long as you talk to them and be like, hey, I really am not feeling it right now, I need to make sure I meet this, I'm sure they'd be able to understand that. Now, that goes into the other categories. You guys want to talk about them? I mean, you guys see at the top, self-actualization and esteem kind of go with closer to what we're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Instead of like safety needs, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at the top, if you do look up, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it has self-actualization and esteem, and self-actualization is, okay, thank you. It has self-actualization, so we'll just go through them all. Self-actualization, esteem, love and belonging, and then safety needs and physiological needs. And so I can talk about the self-actualization, that you know yourself better than probably anyone. So like Brayden was saying, if you need to take a break, you know that you need to take a break. If you need help, it's okay to ask for it, and that if you know that you need it, you're the one that's going to know. So sometimes you just, like we said, have to take a break and just not even think about what happened at school today or work or anything, but just take a moment and think what you need right now. Do you need just a hug from one of your friends, or do you need maybe something more, like to have a talk about mental health and ways to bring it back up and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah, and well, okay, so after self-actualization, the next one is esteem, which I think honestly goes into like, oh my gosh, sorry. The it actually goes into mental health. Like I bet a ton. I mean, not I bet, but I know a ton because your self-esteem kind of creates like who you see yourself as and like who you kind of like want to show yourself as to other people. Because what you think of yourself kind of reflects on sometimes how you act or how you present yourself to others. So just like I know this is such a hard thing, especially for teenagers. I know that I've dealt with it a ton. Just like low self-esteem and just not thinking that like you're enough, or just not thinking that you are like adequate compared to peers or just people you see in the media, or just like people that you want to like emulate, either their like looks or like smarts or just personality. um, and I think just like addressing self-esteem and like making sure that you think of yourself highly and to a point where you feel like you're satisfied with who you are and comfortable in your own skin is truly a skill that I think would be super duper helpful as you go throughout daily life, because it's honestly going to put a positive outlook on how you perceive things and how you perceive how you do on certain things, and just kind of make your outlook a little bit more, positive, on the brighter side.
Yeah. Again, I have websites pulled up with organizations, and so here's things like Leigh was talking about, how to keep your esteem up and how to feel good about yourself and keep your mental health up. And so I found some interesting things about it. One of them is learning something new. Learning a new skill can actually improve your mental health a lot. Whether it's something big like, I don't know, a new sport or something like that, I like learning a bunch of little skills. Some skills I have learned to keep my mental health up. I've learned how to juggle.
Yes.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of origami.
Yep.
Nice.
I can make little paper butterflies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got into painting.
And you can rap.
I can rap. I like writing raps and poetry. Whether if writing is an outlet that you find yourself doing a lot, then that is something that can help your mental health a lot. And even if not, like I know people always talk about journaling and stuff like that. And journaling, just like giving a recap of your day, is actually a really successful way of kind of organizing your thoughts and improving your mental health.
Yeah, and definitely improves your esteem too, because like you're trying that new thing willingly, like by yourself, and like as you get kind of like better and better and like know more knowledge about the topic and like about the hobby, then your esteem is kind of going to get better about that topic because you know something that other people might not, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that the website said about keeping your esteem up is actually doing something that you're good at, right? So you can learn a new skill as well, and then also finding something that you really enjoy. I know a lot of people are really into drawing, so if you're good at drawing, or even if it's just like a video game, if you like playing a video game and you're good at it, then doing that can improve your mental health.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think a lot of people, I think that comes with just like having an identity and being like, having like something to like kind of give you a background, like, oh, like I enjoy soccer. I played soccer for years and years, and like that's kind of my background, like, oh, I love playing soccer. And I think just having something you can call yours or kind of identify with just gives you a little bit of more structure. It gives you, kind of goes back to that community thing, because one of the middle layer of the Maslow's layer hierarchy of needs is actually love and belonging. And I think finding that community that you want to be a part of and going out of your way to make, like, kind of be in the community. Because I think a lot of people are scared, like, oh man, I want to join this thing, but I'm scared what people think. But like, all those people are there for the same reason as you. Like they are there because they enjoy the same things as you. And I think getting a community that where you share the same ideas kind of gives you something to look forward to. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of going off track a little bit, but no. I that's kind of where I'm going back to the hierarchy of needs and tying those two together. But,
I totally agree.
And I think keep going. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was gonna talk about the hierarchy of needs a little bit more. I think it's kind of what I was saying before, but I think a lot of people look at the thing like, oh, they kind of overlook the top layers of sexual self-actualization, esteem, and then love and belonging. Um, and I think they say, oh, I got like the bottom covered, like I got my physiological needs, I got my safety needs covered, like all the others are kind of just like optional. They don't really affect me. I mean, this thing was created for a reason. This is a hierarchy of needs. It's not a hierarchy of options. And so I think understanding that you do want to meet all of these in order to, thrive, not just get by day to day, is very important.
And I mean, this is kind of creating the best person that you can be by kind of getting these, or not getting these, but like equipping these needs into your life, and just kind of also focusing on that, like, yes, esteem and self-actualization is like definitely a need, and that is going to be on my hierarchy of needs, my own little personal group of needs. So
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think a lot of the bases. Let us know how we did. This is our first one. It's definitely
work in progress.
Work in progress for sure. We're trying to figure out what we're doing, but we want to make sure we get the ball rolling and you guys can enjoy what we have to put out, and we can make a difference. But I think this is the start.
Yeah.
Hopefully something big.
Yeah.
I mean, before I go, I did want to mention a couple of things. One of them was some resources that you guys can reach out to if you ever want someone to talk to. And you can also find these on Lewis Palmer School District website. There's a lot of like counseling, mental health options in our community and county. One of them is Regis University, who provides a free to low-cost option for mental health counseling. It's located very close to Woodman and I-25, about 20 minutes from Monument, so it's in El Paso County. Colorado Crisis Services is open 24/7 and offers walk-ins and phone appointments. Its location is 115 South Parkside Drive. Colorado Mental Health Services Guide provides information about mental health centers across the state, including the Pikes Peak region. And then the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Colorado Springs, offers many resources and information about local counseling options. Diverse Health, located at the same location, Colorado Crisis Services, provides crisis services through Colorado Crisis Services, as I said before.
That's a lot of crises.
One more source I want to talk to actually was about So Coalition. That's a mental health organization in Tri-Lakes in our area that really just focuses on events and how we can get talk about mental health out there. So if you want to learn about getting involved with that, I know me and Lily are part of it, and we really enjoy it. So if you guys want to, definitely look them up, shoot them an email, because we'd love to see the group grow. Also, one more thing. Go to the Lewis Palmer High School website, go to clubs, click on us, and fill out the link.
Oh, yeah. Fill out there's a link, there's a Google form. If you want to share your story on our podcast and be on our podcast and potentially share whatever you have to share about mental health regarding your experience or regarding some tips or pretty much everything. We just want to really include the community and include LP in our podcast. So yeah, we would really appreciate it if you guys would fill out that form with your contact info and kind of the basis of what you would want to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. We kind of just wanted to address mental health, and so, like I said, let us know what you'd like to see, how we can support you in future episodes. And yeah, thanks for listening. We are the Lewis Palmer High School Prosperity Project.
Bye, guys.
Bye.